Before I begin, I want to take a moment to offer my condolences and thoughts to the friends, family, and colleagues of longtime territorial wrestler Don Kernodle, who did recently pass away. I remember seeing some matches where he was teaming with Sergeant Slaughter and Jim Crockett Promotions, and he seemed like a hell of a tag team. He seemed like a hell of a worker. I need to dive into more of his career, so if you have any matches or moments that you remember from Don Kernodle's career that are available on YouTube, please share them in the comments. Let's keep his memory alive, because it's good to honor the memory of territorial wrestlers, even briefly, those who paved the way for the wrestlers that, have the life that they have today. Rest in peace, Don Kernodle. You will not be forgotten. Now, I'm John Rickton with my review of AEW Dynamite, a show that was kind of just filler. The first 30 minutes actually weren't all that bad, and then I don't want to say it went off the rails, but it just felt very much like an episode that was just to get them to the next live episode that will then get them to Double or Nothing. Now, next week's episode, and I believe the following episodes are going to be preempted on Wednesdays and are going to be on Fridays sometime after the NBA playoffs. Either 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, but given how the NBA playoffs, at least the final 5 minutes of each playoff game go about 15 fucking years, they're probably going to be preempted by about, 15 to 30 minutes. But anyway, before we get to that, we got to talk about this, which actually there were some moments I liked on this show, and I didn't really even hate anything on this show. It's just, some of it was just kind of meh. So anyway, we have Christian Cage versus Matt Sydal. We have 2 cages, 2 pages, and 2 Sydals. At least the 2 Sydals make sense because, they're brothers. Anyway, both guys, are in the Battle Royal. And they announce, they run down the whole goddamn card for Double or Nothing. I'll probably do my predictions, pretty soon, because it seems like they finalized the card. I'm not just going to wait until, next week's Dynamite and then do it 2 days before the pay-per-view. And I've ordered the pay-per-view. Have you ordered the pay-per-view yet? Because why not? I mean, it's $50 4 times a year. That's really not all that bad. So even with the popcorn fart of the exploding barbed wire death match at Revolution, I'm going to keep ordering the pay-per-views because I want to keep supporting the talents that I like. So it is nice to see former WWE CW talent still going strong. I kid. Both these guys are really, really good. And there was some high-level work here. So I don't really know who the heel was. It seemed like Christian might have been working heel, but whatever. It was high. Of course, Cody doesn't believe in faces or heels, despite the fact that Cody's pretty much the biggest heel in the goddamn company. That's not the Bucks or Omega. Like, Cody may think he's a babyface, but he's really not. I'll get to that. But we get a Meteor for 2, then Sydal, hit some quick, moves, all for 2, and then a Spear for 2, Kill Switch for 3. Then Show Respect, and then, Starks, comes out to cut a promo. Taz is also yelling at Cage, even though he doesn't have a house mic, so he's just yelling on his headset, so he's blowing the ears out of his colleagues, while not really conveying, even though he's only about 50 feet away from Cage. So if Cage even just looks at me, he's like, hey, that Oompa Loompa motherfucker is yelling at me. I wonder what the hell he's saying. I kid. Taz is a hell of a commentator. And then, oh no, here's Team Taz from behind, and we get another aftermath. And then suddenly Paige attacks Cage while coming from the stage. And then we get Hook with a chop block, and then that's pretty much it. And a bomb to Paige by Cage, not on the stage this time. Yeah, this is basically just to hype, Brian Cage and Hangman Page at the pay-per-view. Again, too many pages and cages. So then the announcers run down the card very rapidly, and then the Varsity Blondes talk about the Bucks. Pillman Jr. talks about his dad. He says, well, my dad is the reason I wasn't in wrestling for a while, and that's fair. And if you've seen the Dark Side of the Ring 2-parter, it's probably a good thing he wasn't involved in wrestling. Now he can do his own thing while honoring his dad's memory. And I gotta say, in the ring, he's as close as you're gonna get to Pillman. I mean, obviously, the relation, stuff like that, but he even does air Pillman. It's such a nice it hits a nostalgia vein. It's just really nice. So, said the Young Bucks are why I'm here today. Griff Garrison says, what these boys need is a reality check, and that's gonna be in the form of us taking the tag titles. Good luck with that. Then we get Moxley and Kingston talking about the Acclaim being rappers, and they knock the super kick party, and they argue like a married couple, and it's funny. Then the Acclaimed are pissed, and they call Moxley the lunatic cringe. That was funny. Moxley and Kingston come out to Wild Thing by X from the Major League soundtrack, which that fits a lot better than the one by the Trogs. Nothing against that. Great song. Didn't fit Moxley. Acclaimed come out, Caster basically says, Kingston, you look like a box of Newports, and, Moxley, call your girl. Call your girl. She's all in my mentions, trying to hit me up for some oral sessions. I want to hate this gimmick. I should hate this gimmick, but I can't because Caster's just so fucking good. Moxley and Kingston versus The Acclaim. Jumpstart by Moxley and Kingston. This was a well-worked match. I like this. When Moxley isn't trying to do all the hardcore shit that he likes doing, he can work, and Kingston's offense is unique, and Caster and Bowens are a good team. Kingston's knee got focused on, and we have superplex crossbody for 2. Kingston broke that up. We get a chain toss, but oh no, the boom box, but boom, box right to the head. And then paradigm shift, wheelbarrow edition for 3. There we go. And that's pretty much it. Marvez then asked Jericho, hey, what are you guys going to say about the Pinnacles Challenge? And Dean Malenko's there, and they referenced the 1004 holds thing. That was good. Good to see Dean Malenko as healthy as he can be. Unfortunately, I believe he's dealing with some illness. I don't remember exactly what it is. But you know what? Dean Malenko, it's always good to see Dean Malenko on a wrestling program. And man, what a worker. What a fucking worker he was. And it was a good callback. Even though I'm not the biggest fan of Jericho outside the ring, I gotta say that was a nice little callback. And then we get an interview with Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky, who told Ethan that shirt was a good idea. Sky's shirt actually wasn't that bad. This was forced. It's like, oh, I will be the nail in your coffin, Darby. And it's referencing stuff they've done before and fine, but I didn't care. I don't buy this team. Ethan's a good athlete, and I like Scorpio Sky. It's just such a random team. It's just weird. It's Sting, and then Darby hits them from behind with a skateboard, and he can't even do the Scorpion Deathlock correctly because he's 61 years old with a bad neck. And then Dark Order chase Sky and Ethan Page away. Just whatever. And then the Pinnacle Dinner. MJF mocks Jericho's comedy. FTR run down Jericho. Shawn then attacks a waiter for doing his job. Totally tosses him money. Says there, that should take care of it. Really not much here. I mean, it's not bad. He's doing the best he can with this. Because they've used him and then put him right down. Then used him and then put him right down. They've haphazardly booked this whole Pinnacle Inner Circle thing. Hopefully, Stadium Stampede won't be full of so much comedy bullshit, but I fear it will be. But you know what? It is what it is. I'll talk about that more in my predictions, but I just gotta say, I like this kind of pre-tape stuff. And I did kind of like how Wardlow did reference Thor. He drank the bottle of wine. Another! That was kind of funny. So then we get Reba with Britt versus Sheeta. Well, okay, firstly, I want Sheeta to cane me in the face. I may have some issues. Reba tried some comedy, did the crutch thing, and then eventually got, tapped out by the stretch muffler. And then Britt attacked her and stomped her on the championship. If you notice I'm skipping through some of these matches, it's because there isn't a whole lot here. Now, I will say Britt and Sheeta could end up stealing the show. I think that'll be a pretty good match. So we then get recaps of the Pac, Orange Cassidy, Omega stuff. Then we cut to Omega and Callis checking on Orange Cassidy. Hey, you should rip up this thing, for your title shot, and then we'll give you a title shot later. And Cassidy rips it up really, 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 really slowly. The ripping of sloth style. And that's it. Omega also cannot sound intimidating, convincing, or whatever to save his life on promos. Alright, so then they hand him another one. Omega also basically said that he could end his career or his life. It's murder, Omega. That's murder. You probably shouldn't confess that. You shouldn't murder anybody anyway. Don't murder people, kids. So, I don't like Callis. Callis really, for all the talk of him being a great promo, I don't see it. He thinks he's better than he actually is. That's just my take. I get what they're trying to do, but the pieces just weren't together. And I hope that Cassidy's okay. I actually hope he is. They were okay. He was okay enough to do this pre-tape stuff, but hopefully he's all right, because that looked pretty damn brutal how he landed. So then the Inner Circle, minus Santana, what do they all say? Well, of course they accept the challenge. Hager cannot talk one goddamn bit. Jericho, talks about their heads being up there, or, the Pinnacle having their heads up their asses, so they don't hear very well. Was it worth it? He says, was it worth it like 5 times? Like he's desperate to get the crowd to cheer for him because he knows that some of the crowd recognizes him as somebody that had a wife and mother-in-law that were around the insurrection attempt, and he hasn't addressed it. He's kind of a piece of shit for that. So, blood and guts, was it worth it? I'm not just talking about the physical pain, but dislocated elbow. The fall was the most terrifying moment of my life. To be fair, falling backwards, even if you gimmick something, could be terrifying. Still didn't look good because it was, silver painted cardboard. I'm glad Jericho's okay. Well, I mean, except for the dislocated elbow. I'm glad he's all right, but they just should have shot it away. Just shoot it away, and then it wouldn't have looked so bad. So, the answer is yes. Hell is coming for you, and Hell brought with him a baseball bat. I'm sorry, that was Uncensored 97. So, Shivani then interviews Jade, and then that's Sterling, Sterling Archer. No, I'm kidding. That's Sterling lawyer guy. I don't want you to work for me. I want to work for you. And yeah, okay. They need to get Jade a manager. Jade has the presence to pull this up, but she's going to need time. Red Velvet versus Serena Deeb, NWA Women's Championship. I'm shocked that Serena Deeb, or that Marty Scurll's dating Serena Deeb, because I know that Marty likes him a lot younger, and no, I'm not going to forget that, because that was fucking bullshit. Fuck your legal age in other countries. It's fucking goddamn sick regardless of gender. Anyway, as for the match, well worked. Deeb was clearly the heel. She attacked Red Velvet and beat the shit out of her, focused on the knee, beat the shit out of her. And then we get a moonsault to the outside, where Red Velvet's knee collided right with Serena Deeb's head. We get some good counters, Serenity Lock, and again, for the tap out. This was well worked though. I enjoyed this match. I thought it was well paced as far as they made it feel like it was an actual fight. Serena Deeb, she looks tremendous. Good to see her having, come back from that, I believe, knee scope or something like that. And hopefully she maybe can actually, appear at the NWA pay-per-view and defend the championship, because fucking hell, that card needs its help even though I've ordered it. I've ordered Double or Nothing. I've ordered the NWA pay-per-view When Our Shadows Fall. But goddamn, they haven't announced a card for that yet, and it's on June 6th. Oh dear. Austin Gunn with Arn and Cody in the American flag, because Cody is going to end racism because him and Brandy are having the first ever interracial baby. Or biracial, whatever the terminology is. Cody, you really are digging yourself a goddamn hole by trying to respond to that promo, and I understand what he was trying to do, but boy, came across more as like, hey, I support what happened on January 6th. That's what I got from it. So anyway, Anthony Monster Ogogo is his opponent with the Factory. Quick start, Ogogo causes internal bleeding with Austin Gunn and beats him KO. I like the promo that Ogogo cut on Dark. Ogogo is clearly the babyface in this feud, even though they don't want him to be. And it was what it was. Marvez then interviews SCU, who are no longer a team. What's next? Daniels whispers something to Kazarian and wanders off. Daniels might make some appearances on Dynamite, but he might be done. And you know what? He's had a hell of a career. I met Daniels a couple times in indie shows. Guy's fucking tremendous. Could still move well in 2019. Could move well even now. If he feels it's time to hang it up, he's had a great career. And Kazarian basically says, that he's focused on revenge on all the elite. That's the gospel according to Frankie Kazarian. Good stuff here. Miro promo. A lot of promos on this show. He's thanking Jesus Christ for the strength and the ability to beat people up, and that how he beat up Darby. And if you have what I want, you've got what I want, then it's done. Archer shows up and does a Godzilla vs. Kong reference because we have to shoehorn that shit in there. Then says, I'm going to make you my Bulgarian bitch. Ooh, he said the B word. Bulgarian, of course. That's a swear, somehow. Miro said to Jake Roberts, if you get in my way, there's not enough Yogo to, save you. Everybody dies, but I must insist you go first. Had they used Miro like this, would have been a whole lot better. Next week, Friday Night Dynamite, we're getting Miro versus Dante Martin for the TNT Championship. Hangman Page versus Janela. Oh, dear. Please make that 5 minutes and just have Page win. Cody and Ogogo have a weigh-in. Jade Open Challenge. Celebration of the Inner Circle's greatest moments. So that ought to be about 1 minute. And then Uno and Grayson versus Sky and Ethan. And there were a couple other things, but the whole point is that's not exactly a great go-home show, but whatever. I don't think it's going to be bad. And Darby versus Caesar Panini. Great. That's just what we need to see. Darby working with a really awkward, gangly guy. The Insuffer Bucks versus the Varsity Blondes. Look, the Bucks aren't the worst tag team in the world, but are they the best? Not to me. I like Julia Hart out with the Varsity Blondes. AEW tag title match. Callis joins commentary. I just stopped caring about commentary when Callis is out there, because he doesn't add anything, in my opinion. It was fine at first, became a typical Bucks match. They're trying so hard to be heels, but they're just insufferable, hence the Insuffer Bucks name. Griff hit a dive later, and then Julia got, warned, hey, they're using the aerosol can thing again. And then they got a second one and sprayed her in the face, because she's probably not a birther like the Bucks are. And then the sharpshooter on Pillman Jr. for the win. I'm shocked they didn't beat Griff, but it is what it is. Maybe he's telling a story that Pillman Jr. is going to have to rise up and take out the Bucks himself, but it is what it is. And then Mox and Kingston attack, the Bucks and steal their shoes. Oh, and then Shivani suddenly says, I just heard from Tony Khan, this will be the tag title match at Double or Nothing. Pay-per-view card rundown, and that's it. Okay, that's pretty much it for the show. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.